For the record, I'm done trying to make y'all comfortable. For the record, you ain't trying to grow, then it's done for you. For the record, lab on me going all the way. For the record, ain't trying to link, no time to waste. For the record, for the record.
DSC, welcome back. It's your boy, Mr. Prez. And to my left,
it's your boy Cash, aka Exec P. What's going on, good people?
Hey. So recently we had a Zoom call meeting with our Patreon supporters. Thank you for your Patreon supporters. They suggested an idea, since I don't really pay attention to all the TV shows going on. I read books. They said they'll present a book. I read it, give my 5 takeaways from it, and we'll speak on it. That's this video right here. So Cash decided to read this book with me. Our first book is going to be Curtis 50 Cent Jackson, Hustle Harder, Hustle Smarter. This is the second 50 Cent book I've read. The first one was The 50th Law with Robert Greene. That was like when he was initially coming up. This is 50 been in the business for a while. This is the lesson he's learned since his music career kind of fading, and then how he's going into the showbiz world. So we're going to just give our top 5 points that he made up in here. And we're going to give a brief little explanation on it. When we're going to relate it back to your personal life, and then we'll relate it back to the corporate world, give a quick little spill on it, and move on.
And we know what you're thinking. 50 Cent, there's a lot to be learned from 50's leadership style and his business acumen. And again, we don't want to do the same old leadership books that everybody's pitching to you. We want to do stuff that's from our culture, from our hip hop culture specifically, and flip it back to you. I figure, you'll read a book or listen to a book from a 50 Cent versus some random person that you just got put on to a book. And this is he's right in our age range too. So we grew up listening to 50. So, what better way to give back and kind of stick with the culture as they progress through different things, TV shows, successful label, you name it, man. Executive producing, all types of different things. His deal with vitamin water. Like, there's a lot of things to be learned from this man and what he's done. Yes, he's a troll, and yes, he's a funny guy, and yes, he's had beef with Ja Rule and all that. We get it.
Rick Ross, we get it. But at the same time, he speaks on all these things, even to his friendship with artists that you probably don't agree with. All this is spoke on in this book and up in here. So let's go ahead and start with the 5.
Let's get into it. Let's get into it. Where we at with it?
So the first takeaway, 50 talked about comfort. Comfort is a killer, is a dream killer. Comfort is a dream killer. Yeah, so basically he was saying that it zaps your ambition, right? That's what comfort does. When you're comfortable with something, that means you're getting lazy with it. You're not giving your full effort. That's what I took out of it.
Yeah, and also, never settle on your past successes. Like, that's the easiest way to stay stagnant in anything. So always be looking for another opportunity to excel or grow within whatever you're doing. So that's kind of what I took away from that one, is like, you can get paid a certain amount, but get out your comfort zone, do something different. If you have one income stream and you're looking to have another income stream, you can have creative ways of doing that. It's just that you got to get out of your comfort zone of doing things the same exact way at a job that you've been doing forever. Like, I think we were talking about this earlier, about as far as the jobs that we've done throughout our career and how we've moved up in the ranks. It's given us different opportunities, different leadership opportunities. And sometimes we weren't comfortable in those roles. Like, we just got forced into them. It's like, hey, you're going to go to this location, this country. Boom, this is what you got. And you're like, oh, I would thought this was just going to be an easy, deployment, but it wasn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and he elaborates a little bit more. He's saying the number one thing that we're comfortable with is fear. And what does he mean by that? Like, he's saying fear of loneliness, fear of failure. Fear of failure is like one thing that you always hear us talking about. That's what a lot of people have, and why a lot of people don't take chances, or they don't think that they don't want to speak up and be that leader in the room because of that, because they scared to fail. You can't be scared to fail, man. Everything, like this cell phone right here, man. This is like the 13th iteration of this exact cell phone. I'm pretty sure like they was going through a process. It's the same corporate process that they go through every day, where they saying they're gonna, hey, let's see what's what works in this, what doesn't work, and let's move on. That we take our successes out of all those failures and we build something great.
And we've kind of talked ad nauseum about this as far as our struggles with starting a podcast, figuring things out, doing things wrong for a long amount of time, not preparing, not over preparing, being us. Like, it's a whole lot of different things, and we've failed a lot. But you know, you got to be consistent, and I think that's a lot to do with why we are where we are right now, is being consistent and improving over time. So, but yeah, I like that. Comfort is
a dream killer.
It's a dream killer.
So, takeaway number 2 that 50 had up in there was patience is your strength. So when he talked about patience is your strength, he's saying focus your potential on focus on your potential, not your payday. So the way I analyze this, I kind of analyze it as like when you're gambling, when you're playing Texas Hold'em, right? If you got pocket aces and you think you'd won it all, right? Are you gonna go in right there off the blind? No, you're gonna see if you can get anybody else to throw more money in the pot. Increase your payday. That's what you got to do. So you got to hold them a little bit, hold back a little bit, be a little bit patient before you get that look on your eyes, or you think you're just gonna jump in on anything. So wait for those opportunities. Go strike on those opportunities when they do come, and excel with it.
Yeah, I kind of took from it something similar, but like a little bit differently. So I feel like, you know, you have to believe in you and your brand, and you don't have to sell it for low. You know what I mean? Because nobody's going to believe in you like you believe in you. Like, if you selling T-shirts, you better go hard. Don't be ashamed to promote that T-shirt every single day. Don't be ashamed to say, hey, I have this going on. Are you interested? Like, you have to consistently be doing that and sell your product at a level of, this is the shit, and this is why you should buy it. That's kind of what I took for it, is never settled for, I just have a little thing going on. Because if you come to the table like that, then nobody else is going to believe in you. So I take it in the leadership aspect is you have to have confidence in your approach to anything that you put your name on. You know, you have to put your best foot forward. And if you make a decision, stand on that shit. And if you fail, you fail. But at least you went in guns blazing, and you went in with this singular focus, and you adapt and adjust as needed. But the people that work for you or work beside you, they at least have the confidence in you and what you're saying. And that's kind of what I took from that takeaway there.
Okay. Takeaway number 3. If we can't be friends, then at least let's be enemies.
Classic 50.
Yeah,
Classic 50.
If y'all know, if y'all listen to 50 Cent or follow his business deals or hell, his music career, like you know exactly where he's coming at with this. Like, if you ain't on his side, you're definitely gonna turn into he's gonna turn you to a meme, whatever it takes. Like, he's gonna get some free promotion out of you, or do whatever it takes to make that his benefit.
Flipping it to the leadership aspect, though, I kind of see it as like, yo, I'm not going to like everybody that I work with. I'm not going to like everybody I work beside. I'm not going to like everybody that works in a whole nother organization that I have to constantly do business with. But we still have to do business in certain aspects. So you have to keep those enemies, so to speak, or those associates, rather, in a corporate world, if you're in a corporate world, close to you. And that's not saying you have to be fake with them, but you have to acknowledge that, hey, me and these people just don't vibe, but you have to find a workaround to get to whatever the goal
where
is.
Where it can still be beneficial.
Where it can be beneficial to both. You don't have to be the best of buddies to get shit done. And that's kind of what I took from it. Yes, the title is it'll throw you off, but that's kind of what I got from it. Is like, yeah, I don't have to smile and kiki in everybody's face, but we can work together and come together on particular projects.
Now, I found it, I took it as a different way. During this quarantine thing that we done had, like, everybody watched MJ The Last Dance. And I think to relate this to that, you know how MJ was going through his thing, and like every time he hit a wall or whatever, he would find something that would piss him off and use it for motivation, right? Just making up something like, hey, This guy didn't look at me. He didn't say, hey, he'll make you out of an enemy just to give him that extra drive. So if I'm reaching out to you and trying to get some work done, and you like, nah, I ain't got time for you, I'm gonna turn that, hey, well, this person don't think I'm worthy of it. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna work extra hard, and I'm gonna come up there. I did this because in spite of you or whatever. That's how I took it as.
I mean, using a negative to motivate you into a positive is never a bad thing. I mean, it's a little anal, but I mean, some people that are the top tier in their profession use little motivating factors like that. So it can work. It doesn't work for me per se, but I understand where 50 was coming from.
All right. And then our fourth takeaway is new energy. So he's saying expand your reach, expand your network. So I was talking with Cash earlier about this. I think we already do it by being in the military and everything, or having the military background. As you make rank and go up in the ranks, you're supposed to shed the people that you was talking to before, because you got more responsibility. It can't be fraternization with the lower ranks and everything. But now, like hearing 50 talk about this and how it's used in the corporate world, I could definitely see why they want us to do that. Because you need to look for those new people who's going to have like-mindedness or a level above you as mentors to help keep getting you to do better or achieve more. You know what I mean? Because if you still staying with that lower level or the lower rank with you, they're used to doing certain things. You got to work to get to that management level as you go up in the ranks in the military. That's relating it to the military. That's all I could do. That's our military background.
But I mean, to your point, it's kind of like if you are the smartest person in the room, then like me personally, if I'm the smartest person in the room, I don't want to be in that room 9 times out of 10. And that's because I always want to learn from other smart people. I'm actually intrigued by what other people have to offer. And you wouldn't believe how many people that are maybe above you in career or status, or just have more information in a particular subject, how they're willing to give it all to you if you just ask the right questions. If you do your research on that person and tickle their fancy, so to speak, stroke that ego, you can be in the position that you want to be in just all off information. That's it. Sometimes it may not be a handout. It just may be information. And if you surround yourself with people like that, then you can go a lot further. And that's what kind of 50 speaks to. He was talking about going into the label, I think, at one point, and not talking to the same people in the label. So he wanted to talk to certain people, because what can you do for me at this level that this person can't do for me at this level? And it made total sense. I forget the exact different offices, but you guys kind of get the point. Is, you know, you have to use the people that can advance your career or what your initiative and what you're trying to do for the better.
Yep. And then the fifth takeaway we're going to talk about is your team built to win? And basically this was talking about evaluate your team constantly. When you evaluate your team, are you the only one that's making buckets? Like, are you the only one that's shooting and everybody else just along for the ride? Like you're taking them to wins, but without you there, will your team fall apart? If that is so, your team ain't adding no value. It's time to like shed some of those other people. So as a new energy you talked about, like you're gonna have to make, you have to get in these different circles and have new people coming in. You're gonna have to reevaluate what they are bringing to the table constantly and shed them if they start slacking, or they're not pulling their weight, or they ain't adding a lick of value to anything that you're doing.
And that's my thing. Like you know me, I'm like I give you a few strikes, but I'm very blunt and honest with, yo, you ain't doing this. I don't need you around no more as far as any project or what we're working on, because like you're dead weight. If I have to constantly remind you that you need to be doing X, Y, Z on a joint project that we're working together, yeah, we may be homies. We might even be friends. But I have to be able to, at a certain point, say, hey, what you're doing, or if you're watching, listening, what a person is doing to you is bothering you a lot more than it's bothering them. So you have to kind of look at it that way. It's like, hey, they're not getting work done. Like, this is beyond a friendship. Like, if you valued the friendship, you would probably be working 10 times harder, to be honest with you, to make this thing work. But, you know, people have different work ethics, and you find out that quickly, you know what I mean? So sometimes your team may not be who they initially were. And like him coming from the rapper world, it's just like everybody come up together. These are my people, my peoples. Okay, cool. But at a certain point, it goes beyond that. Now it's business. We got to transition from this life to this life. We have to be up on time for certain things. We have to be professional in this setting. We can't approach this the same way we're going to approach this as far as from a street manner. You know what I mean? And I'm just going off of his experiences and what he spoke to in the book with Lloyd Banks, Tony Yayo, and others. Like, they were his dudes on
Gilly
tour.
the Kid. He talked about Gilly
yeah, he
the
talked
Kid.
about Gilly the Kid walking away from a deal, being short-sighted with it being like, I think it was like he wanted a million for the deal, but Gilly didn't even have the cachet in the music industry at the time to demand such a deal. And he cut his nose to spite his face in that instance, because he could have took the short route, going back to your previous point, Perez, where he could have just knew his value, but builded it up over time, and probably could have been that dude as far as rappers. We know he wrote for your favorite rapper, Lil Wayne and stuff. You know.
Even in the book review.
Even in the book review. But what I'm saying is that he could have incrementally built his value if he was around 50 and 50 was able to nurture his career. And some of it is pride, possibly. But yeah, man, that's kind of where I stand with it. Shed your team when they're not proving value.
So that go 5 values that me and Cash like we took away from the book. It's definitely a lot more in this book. I didn't think he was gonna be able to write another book to this sense on leadership once again, but you can see that he kept growing throughout that time frame. After he shed that music career and what he's been able to do doing showbiz, he learned new tactics. He adapted, and that's the main thing. It's a lot more lessons in this book. I would suggest that you read it. To our Patreon people, I thank y'all for recommending the book. I'm glad I actually got a chance to go through it. Cash, you got anything to say?
Yeah, what I got to say is, like, it's a short listen. It's about 7 hours. So everybody's listening to podcasts or audiobooks at this point. Nobody has time in our busy lives to sit down and actually read a hardcover, but it's an easy listen, 7 hours or so, a little over 7 hours. And it's a quick read. You know, I have the book and I have the audio book, and, you know, got through it really quickly. So a lot of gems in there, a lot of good stories. If you're a fan of hip hop in there, that kind of relate to his leadership style and Hustle Harder, Hustle Smarter. So check the book out. I couldn't recommend it anymore, man. But yeah, so with that said, we're gonna come up with another book, and it'll kind of be inspired around hip hop culture, or just books we generally find interesting on leadership and mindfulness and mindset. So we not gonna just stick to one thing, but I'm enjoying it. I enjoyed this review, to be honest.
Yeah. And if y'all got any suggestion or you read the book and you want to come in on it, let us know how you feel. Like this if you want, like you want us to do more of these things. And yeah, DSC out.
For the record, I'm done trying to make y'all comfortable. For the record, you ain't trying to grow, then it's done for you. For the record, lab on me going all the way. For the record, ain't trying to link, no time to waste. For the record,